So some other things that I can add tables, I could add charts, and I could add shapes as well. Now to access any of those, similar to what I did with the pictures, is there's that plus sign in that top right hand corner. So I'm going to tap on that plus sign, and I can select accordingly what I would like to add. Now right now I'm just going to start off, I'm going to add a graph, and I could start with 2D or 3D, or I could even do an interactive one. I like the 3D ones. These are nice. It's a great way to present data. But from here I could select the type of graph that I want to insert, and we'll just go with this graph here, and it will automatically give me a sample graph. Again, like the image, I can drag that to resize it. I can also, if you notice there's these two ovals here with arrows, by clicking on that, I can now move three-dimensionally my chart. So you can really make your data stand out and be more visible. Now, one of the things you might be thinking is, this is great, this is a nice chart, but it's not my data. So in order to edit your data, all you have to do is tap on your chart and click on Edit Data. So from here, I could go in and I could change my numbers. I could change what's going to show up on the X and the Y axis. Here it's just region 1 and 2, or April, May. I can go in and add. Notice I have the numerical keys here that I can add whatever information I need in those spots. And when I'm done, I just tap Done. Now, like the images and like the text, I can also format this even further. So once I have my data in place, I could go up here to that paintbrush tool. Because this area is selected, I could hit that Format tool, and I could change the style of what the chart looks like. So I can actually make it look like wood blocks just by tapping on that, and notice how it changes the color a little bit there. So I bring that menu back up. I could go to chart options, where I have some more control of dealing with, like I could add a chart title, I could add a legend to it, which is currently being shown. I could change the font and the font size. I could add value labels. I could change the depth, so I can make those wood blocks look wider. I could change the bar shape, so instead of rectangular, I can make it cylindrical. I could also change the chart type from here. As long as I have my data in place, I can do that. So you really have a lot of options there just to kind of deal with what your chart looks like. I'm going to hit back here. I could control specifics in terms of labels and numbers and formatting and grid lines by tapping on the x-axis, and I could do the same on the y-axis as well. And I could also, if I have a lot of different elements on my document here, I could tap on Arrange, and that will allow me to move the object forward or backwards three-dimensionally against the background. Again, when I showed you with the pictures how I can move the image around, I can do the same with the chart, and I'll move my text. Where you can change that is where it says Wrap here under Arrange. I could change it from automatic to around, above and below, inline, or none. I could also set it to move with the text, and I could even add more space between the chart and the text itself. Now, some of the other things that I can add from here, and just add a couple spaces here. I'm going to tap on the plus. I could go in and I can add a table. And again, I can edit my table information just by tapping on it. Over here in this area here, I could tap that, and this will allow me to change how many columns I have. In the bottom left-hand corner, I could change the number of rows, so it's easy to add or change as you're working. In the top left-hand corner, you'll see there's this little tiny circle area. I could hold my finger on that, and that will allow me to move my chart around into different locations. If I select my chart and I go up to the Format Paintbrush, again, I can change the color scheme. I could go under Table Options, and I'll have some more editing tools there. I could adjust my headers and indicate how many header rows and columns I use, as well as footers. I could also go in and define what I want the text to do within the cell. And I could go in and format, say I want to add different types of elements. Maybe I'm working with currency. I could select currency and change that and actually define what my data is going to look like within that cell. So I have a lot of options there. Now I'm going to go back. I'm just going to add a little bit of space here to the bottom. I'm going to tap on the plus sign. And the last thing to add is the shapes. So you have a lot of choices of your shapes. You could do call out buttons, call out boxes. You could do lines. You could add a text box if you want to. I'm just going to use a basic arrow. And again, this object here, I can increase the size or decrease the size based off of how I drag it. I have the ability to move it around just like I did with my images. But if I go up and I tap on that format paintbrush, from here I could change the colors, I can adjust style and get fancier with some of the other options. I could add different borders and effects like I did with my images, so I can give it some reflection and some shadow to give it some depth. I could add text into this arrow if I would like to, so all your shapes you can add in text. And then I also have the ability to arrange it just like I did with the other elements as well.